it up, swashbucklers. You're listening to Under the Crossbones, episode number 173. My name is Phil Johnson. I'm your host for the show and the ship's inkwell refiller each and every week. Thank you once again for tuning in. Thanks for telling your friends, visiting sponsors, doing all that kind of good stuff. You are the person that makes this show keep going. I'm the one that does the work on the back end, but you're the one that makes it keep going. And welcome to all of our new listeners, lots of new listeners over the past week. I'm glad you guys liked the Black Pirate episode, the last week's Stormfront episode. Very, very popular. Downloads were through the roof. Great. I'm so glad to see it. So let me, since we do have a lot of new listeners, let me give a little recap about what we do on the show. Under the Crossbones is, and I really hate this description of it myself, but it works. Under the Crossbones is a behind the eye patch look at the pirate community. Yeah, behind the eye patch. How cheesy is that? Yeah, right. But it works because we sort of go backstage with the pirate community to talk to interesting people doing interesting things. And that may be people working in movies or people working in pirate movies, people working in pirate historical research, people who write books about pirates, people who dress up as pirates and do interesting things or create pirate clothing. Or like today, we're going to be talking about modern piracy. We do have a couple of episodes going back with Michael Moore and some of the guys that have written books about Somali piracy and done research into that. And today on the show, we have Lydelle Joubert from StableSeas.org. They are a research and tracking organization that tracks and researches modern piracy and is an advisory group to the maritime industry. So we're going to go into that. We'll talk more about her in a second, but it's going to be a great show. So we talk, if it involves pirates in any stretch of the imagination, chances are you're going to hear about it on Under the Crossbones. So that's what we're doing here. And today we're on episode number 173. And fun fact about number 173, there is a book called 173 Hours in Captivity, the hijacking of IC-814. This was a book written in the year 2000, written by, I can never say the year 2000 without thinking of Conan O'Brien. In the year 2000. Remember when they used to do that back in the late 90s? All right. Anyway, it was written by Nilesh Misra, a New Delhi-based correspondent of the Associated Press. And the book is about the hijacking of Indian Airlines Flight 814 on its journey from Kathmandu to New Delhi on Christmas Eve, December 24th, 1999, which is not a story I'm familiar with. Sounds like a pretty fascinating story. Kind of works into our guest today, which is why I chose this particular fact. And crazy how fast they got that book out, right? Like Christmas Eve, 1999, book was out within probably 6 months. I don't have a month here, but it was out within a year. That's pretty fast to get a book out. That's crazy. So anyway, the book's called 173 Hours in Captivity. Sounds like an interesting story, and we might have to go check it out. But that is the type of thing that we are talking about today, more on the boat, on the water with the pirates, but it is hijacking and kidnapping and all that kind of good stuff with Lydelle Joubert from Stable Seas. So we're going to talk about where modern piracy is happening now, what's being done to combat it, how modern piracy is different from, but connected to terrorism, organized crime, armed robbery, all that kind of good stuff. And she's got a lot of really great information for us. So, of course, you can find all the show notes for this episode at underthecrossbones.com/173. And Facebook, right? Facebook.com/underthecrossbones, Twitter /undercrossbones. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. That is the most important thing that we want to get you to do is hit that subscribe button. And whatever you're listening to podcasts in right now, go to Under the Crossbones, click subscribe, and then you'll get the new episodes every Tuesday. You don't have to go hunting for them. They will just show up in your feed, and life will be ducky. Yes. So I hope you had a good week, good weekend. It was a little slow around here. My girlfriend has a terrible, terrible flu, and so she's been laid up all weekend. I've been trying to take care of her as best I can, making the chicken soup, doing all that. She's got whatever everybody else has going around. Mike Patton from the singer, who used to be in Faith No More, he was supposed to sing at a big football game. And he got sick. He was supposed to sing the national anthem, which I think is awesome that Mike Patton was going to sing the national anthem at a football game. But he got sick. He had to cancel on that. Everybody's sick. I am not. I think it's the thing that I had when I was on the road a few weeks ago. So I'm doing good. I'm rocking, and we're good. I did dip out to San Francisco to do a show at the Inner Fog Wine Bar on Saturday night. Holy cow, was that fun, man. This is a little place, holds maybe 40 people. and it was standing room only, like fire code, dangerously close to the fire code limit. And I guarantee we were well over the fire code limit because you couldn't have gotten out of there if there was fire. But the show was fantastic. I tried out some new jokes and they worked, and that's always nice. We were surrounded by people. It was almost sort of a show in the round type of deal. So much fun. It was great. And if you're in San Francisco, go to the Inner Fog Wine Bar and have yourself some wine and see some comedy if it's the first Saturday of the month. It was just such a blast. You know what? I always like punchlines out of context, right? So here's the punchline to one of the jokes, the new jokes that I tried. Look at that hair. That's Budweiser hair. Now, out of context, that doesn't make any sense at all. In the context of the joke, big laugh. It was a tag. It's in there with like 3 or 4 other tags at the end of that joke. But anyway, so that was fun. Back on the road this week, Tuesday, the 15th. That's today. If you're listening to this the day the show comes out, I'll be at the Throckmorton Theater in Mill Valley, California. On January 17th, I'll be at the Office in Ukiah, California. January 19th, Trek Wine, Novato, California. And then out to the Midwest, chilly. On January 25th, I'll be at Piggy's in La Crosse, Wisconsin. On the 26th, Benton Station in Sauk Rapids, Minnesota. On the 28th, Spring Street Tavern in Minneapolis, Minnesota. On the 31st, Dairyland Brew Pub, Appleton, Wisconsin. And then February 1st and 2nd, I'll be at Dangerfields in Shakopee, Minnesota. Almost all of those are headlining spots. I think the only one that isn't is the Throckmorton Theater. But that's a showcasey type gig. You never know who's going to show up to the Throckmorton because lots of famous people roll through there on a regular basis. Like Dana Carvey hangs out and people come into town, and it's a cool little hidden gem show where the rich people live all up above north of San Francisco there. So anyway, that'll be fun. So my girlfriend, she's starting to getting a little better. Been making the soup. She got the vitamin C, right? Because what's a pirate's favorite vitamin? Vitamin C. Yeah, both because it rhymes with that big wet thing and it keeps the scurvy away. And you can get your daily dose of vitamin C with Captain Waldo's Vitamin C for Pirates. Each little tablet comes in a surprise flavor like lemon, orange, Panda Express orange chicken, rum, beef, or pumpkin spice. Yeah, 1 tab daily keeps your teeth in your face and your scurvy at bay. Why suck a lemon when you can suck a captain? Waldo's Vitamin C for Pirates. I think I might have messed up the timing on that last bit. And also, none of that is true. Yeah. But if you're going to lose your teeth to scurvy, you better look sexy and curvy with your new duds from Pirata Clothing. That's our real sponsor for today. Pirata Clothing, they got a new website that is a pirate utopia of shirts, hats, clothing, swimwear, and more. It's all steeped in the lore of pirates and treasure, and it's perfect for your next Caribbean cruise, your trip to the Keys, your escape in the snow. Put on your pirata gear. And new stuff added weekly. Go check out their website at pirataclothing.com, and be sure to click the ship wheel on the website to get in on Blackbeard's treasure hunt. Go grab some gear now, pirataclothing.com. And you can get exclusive discounts when you text the word pirate to 21000. That's text the word pirate to 21000, and they'll send you a discount just because they're nice like that. Yeah. And so that's Pirata Clothing, and take your vitamin C. You really should. Don't be an idiot. Just have an orange, suck a lemon. And if you want to help support the show, that is awesome of you. Go to underthecrossbones.com/support. There you can put a donation in the PayPal box, whatever you feel is appropriate. I would say like the bottle of the price of rum. It's a good round number you can go to. There's an Amazon banner there. Click that Amazon banner. Go buy yourself something nice at Amazon. Go buy whatever you didn't get for Christmas for yourself. And Amazon kicks me back a few pennies on the sale. It doesn't change your price at all. All you have to do is click it, and then you're done. Everything else happens over here. But this is a nice way to support the show over there. If you want to be a sponsor of the show, like Pirata Clothing or Pirate Radio, The Treasure Coast, or any of that kind of stuff, you can see how to do that at underthecrossbones.com/support. All right, let's get into my interview. So we're going to talk to, like I said, Lydelle Joubert from StableSeas.org. We're going to talk about modern piracy. It's not all happening in Somalia. In fact, that's not even the hotbed right now. So we're going to find out where it's happening, what's going on, and what's being done to combat the bad guys. All right, here we go. This is Lydelle Joubert from StableSeas.org. You work specifically for StableSeas.org, which is a part of One Earth Future. So can you explain to me what Stable Seas is all about and how that fits into what One Earth Future is doing.
Yeah, I'm actually brand new at Stable Seas. I'm there for a month now.
Okay.
The main aim also of Stable Seas and the One Earth Foundation is to, look at good governance, maritime governance, and the capacity of nations to counter threats through good governance. And for that, we look at different things. We look at illegal fisheries. We look at illicit trade, maritime piracy, and armed robbery. See, all these things are interconnected. I think it's all about all these issues that's there in the maritime domain. They interact with each other. They all influence each other. That's what the Stable Seas Maritime Security Index is also about. I don't know if you had a look at the Maritime Security Index at stableseas.org.
Yeah, I did a little bit this morning, yeah.
We identified 9 issue areas, and then we have a look at how they relate to each other. So, for instance, nothing just happened in the maritime domain. Piracy and armed robbery usually is linked to issues on land. It doesn't occur, just by itself. It's linked to socioeconomic issues on land, about the security issues on land, and then all these funds that's collected by pirate groups, for instance, can fund terrorism, for instance, that as we find by Abbasiev and in the Philippines.
Okay, can we stop there for a second? Can you tell me the difference, because we get caught up in the names and the terminology for things. What's the difference between, say, calling somebody a terrorist versus a pirate versus classifying it as armed robbery?
Okay, a pirate, there's certain things that need to be there. For instance, the attack must be in international waters.
Okay.
It must be not in territorial waters, which is the 12 nautical miles line from the coast.
I see.
It must be in international waters. Everything in the territorial waters, coastal waters, internal waters, we call armed robbery of ships.
Okay.
So that's one of the things we look at. The other one, for piracy, there must be there must be 2 ships. It's mutiny, for instance, can't be piracy.
I see.
There must be 2 ships involved in the attack. One ship must basically impose its will on another or attack another, or the crew from one ship must board another vessel or shoot at another vessel. That is the difference. And another difference that set piracy apart from terrorism is the motive, which is economic in the terms of piracy and armed robbery, and political if we think about terrorism. But we get areas like in the Philippines where the piracy is used to fund terrorist organization, in this case Abu Sayyaf, where you do get overlap of the 2 issues.
Okay.
And there's also, I don't know really if there's concrete proof of this yet, but some of the pirate kingpins on the Somalia side, after piracy, the piracy went down there, some of them got involved in other illicit activities. And one of those are smuggling weapons, which there's an indication that some of these weapons can land in the hands of groups like Al-Shabaab.
Okay, I see.
So the kingpins, piracy kingpins, they're not really people that get involved in piracy because they don't have other, because of fisheries or anything else. At that level, we look at financial motive, greed. You can think maybe on the lower ranks, people get involved in piracy and armed robbery because they must eat for economical reasons. But if you look higher up, you don't talk about this low-level criminals anymore. Then it's people it's almost syndicated. It's groups. It's people with money. You can think, for instance, if a person involved in a hijacking, if you use another ship to hijack a oil tanker, there must be to get to access to a tanker, you at least need funds.
Yeah.
Or you must own a tanker. That's not low-level players.
Sure.
So when piracy dies down, these people are not often going to be okay with just earning a normal wage anymore. They'll move on to other illicit activity.
Right. Okay. That's that makes a lot of sense. So it really has to be treated more like dealing with organized crime more so than pirates in the classical sense, where it was just sort of a rogue crew of weirdos.
You will get for instance, you get robberies at anchorages and in harbors. That normally is often just petty crime.
Okay.
That will be, will not necessarily be linked by pirate groups. It's usually individuals, and they, just steal very small things, often like tow ropes or fire equipment. To survive, basically. So you get that. But, if you're start looking at kidnapping syndicates and kidnap for ransom and hijacking, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, seems like it. So we tend to think now with modern piracy, most people go to Somalia, and so much so that has become almost a cultural reference for modern piracy. But that's not necessarily the real hotspots right now. Where's the real hotspots where this is taking place?
No, the biggest hotspot at this stage is the Gulf of Guinea.
Okay.
And what we find there this year, there's a move away from traditionally hijacking of a vessel for the oil cargo or the product, whatever it might be, oil or other fuel products, to taking the ship and ransom the crew and the ship back to the owners. It's very hard to determine if the initial motive is to steal the cargo. For some of these incidents this year, there was no cargo on board. Or they suspect something went wrong with the vessel that was supposed to siphon the product from the pirated vessel.
Okay.
But we got quite a few instances this year where ships was hijacked, and then basically the crew was kept hostage and ransomed back, which is actually a very dangerous game for a pirate to play, because if they stay on a vessel for a week, for instance, the time they leave that vessel, they're quite vulnerable. So they must be very confident to get involved in this kind of operations.
Certainly, yeah.
And kidnappings in the Gulf of Guinea was really very high this year. I mean, between kidnappings and hostages kept on vessels, we're looking at over 120 individuals being kept this last year.
Wow.
In 2018. So it's really high.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So in Somalia, the original excuse for doing that kind of stuff was that people were invading their fisheries and things like that. Is there a similar what's the excuse for the Gulf of Guinea to get into this, or were they just like, we're going to go steal some stuff now?
Excuses that's used there is in the Delta, for instance, is that the local population don't feel they see any benefit from oil being produced in that area.
Okay.
It doesn't cipher down from central government to these areas, and they see this wealth of the oil companies and awful, and they feel entitled. But once again, these are organized groups. I don't think they really, most of the people involved on the higher levels will move away to a day job if this is solved.
Right.
Lower, that's the case. Lower on the list of individuals involved in it.
Uh-huh.
But for instance, if you're an owner of a tanker, you do this there as a business transaction. You see it's a business transaction. You supply your tanker, and that is used for a hijacking, for instance.
Okay.
The hijackings we saw today, this year as well, was often speedboats involved, even in hijackings, which is usually the case in kidnappings as well.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's so overall, it's not the story of poor people trying to get by. It's the higher up, the organized crime syndicate kind of thing. So there's two different ways you have to deal with those different people in different ways. You can take the underlings down by helping them have a better life, but the crime syndicate top guys are not going to go for that. So what kind of policies or solutions or plans are being worked on to deal with those types of things?
A rule of law must be strengthened in countries where you find piracy, like Nigeria. Uh-huh. Definitely lower. It will only be solved if there's more entry into the workforce, if you can get employment for these people. Mm-hmm. But higher up, there must be prosecution of people involved in these crimes, which often doesn't happen. In the Gulf of Guinea side, and especially Nigeria, court cases involving or prosecution of higher level pirates is very rare. Mm-hmm. You will see arrest of robbers involved in the internal waters often. But we had a case in 2016 of the hijacking of the Maximus. Those people are currently prosecuted, but there's not others I know of currently that has been arrested and involved in commercial hijackings or kidnapping.
Okay.
The ones we see is involved in internal waters robbing of small passenger vessels or smaller vessels in the internal waterways, which also must be done. Those people really suffer because of all the attacks.
Sure. How attractive are these events to the non-criminals in those countries there? Are they seeing a benefit from it? Like in the 1700s, the American colonies, the pre-American colonies, the British colonies here in America, were seeing a benefit from piracy because the pirates were going out, attacking other people's ships, and then bringing the stuff back. Is there any of that benefit to the general populace in those countries, and that being part of why they kind of accept it?
In Somalia, there was a benefit to the local population because obviously often money is spent in the areas which play host to the vessels they get off the coast. Uh-huh. With hostages. So yes, that had an effect on the economy. And I think also it has a negative effect as well because there's areas where, because there's pirates, it will push prices up, and people not seen as hosts of these pirates will also have a negative impact on them because some of the people won't see benefits, and because there's money around, it will push prices up as well. In the Philippines with Abu Sayyaf, you also see that the local population do benefit from some of these attacks. But there, the population's loyalty is almost bought. As long as they, host Abu Sayyaf, which is terrorist organization, the government will from time to time launch attacks in these areas, and the population is normally a good source of intelligence, so loyalty is almost bought there as well. But local population will also supply food or at a price, and shelter or other things that these people need.
Okay, so they are seeing some benefit from it, and so they will then harbor them happily, which is unfortunate.
I don't think always they will harbor them happily. In Somalia, we saw a shift of the local population last year that didn't want to harbor pirates anymore. That was also one of the factors that made the attacks not successful over that time. And there was a few factors, but it was one of them. The local elders didn't want to have the hostages anymore. And this is also, of course, because of effort of international organizations in that country to change the way of thinking. So people will see other benefits if they don't keep the hostages or pirates and hostages. So there is definitely in Somalia there was a change. And of course the newly formed Coast Guards, although they're very young and small in this stage, in Puntland, Somaliland and Somalia, they also had a big impact because none of the hijacking in the last year resulted in any ransom payment.
Oh, really? Wow.
In one is, I think the Puntland, that local authority, they cut off the food supplies to the pirates that seemed to be effective. And none of those cases resulted in ransom payment.
That's really interesting. So are any of those tactics on the horizon for dealing with the Philippines or the Gulf of Guinea or places like that?
Not that. There's international efforts there. So UNODC, I know, for instance, there's a program in Nigeria where they are busy training people in legal aspects related to piracy. So there's definitely things going on by international organizations everywhere, but the situation for every area is quite different. And I think the way treating them is also different.
Certainly.
I mean, in the Somali South, international organizations and armed security on vessels, the newly established coastal authorities, and the role of elders and international organizations in the country, they all had effect to bring piracy right down.
Okay, so as with anything, it's a combination of tactics that tamps it down. That's interesting.
That's again why Stable Seas in the security index look at how these issues interact with each other. So with blue economy and growth in trade, you can, if there's alternative income, you'll see less of these crimes. You can offset crimes with maritime enforcement, but at the end, it's better to have more positive things than, like economic growth and rule of law and good governance in the country itself.
Okay. Can you explain that term, blue economy? Because I just ran across that this morning, and that's a new one on me.
The sea a source for economic activity. There's, it can be utilized for growth. For instance, tourism, coastal tourism can be a form of blue economy. Okay. Any activity connected to the sea.
Okay.
Fishing. When we have alternative forms of, say, for instance, in South Africa, where they start farming abalone. That is heavily under pressure, but now there's an alternative. this is all seen as blue forms of blue economy.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, it was just a new term for me.
Yes.
So, in thinking about Stable Seas and what they do, are you guys there to be sort of an advisory thing for people dealing in this blue economy, or are you more of a tracking service of what's going on, to be an informational service to people working on the ocean, or is the company doing active things on the ground as well?
Yes, all of that. We do research, we give advice, but there's, for instance, in Somalia, a part of the organization involved in, fishery projects.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, all of the above, actually.
Okay. I think it's really great. And One Earth Future looks like they're doing fantastic things with the variety of programs that they're doing all over the world with different things. So I think it's really cool. So how did you get into this? How we haven't even mentioned you're calling from me from South Africa, and that's I love that we can talk like this. How did you get into the piracy thing? Because obviously you have a background in it. Otherwise, Stable Seas wouldn't have hired you.
I started being interested. It was long ago, about 2004. I saw it picking up in Somalia, and then I have done several other things outside of being a researcher, which is my initial background. I was an analyst in the Defense Force.
Okay.
So I thought I might be interested in being analyst again, because I did several things in between, and I decided to do a master thesis on maritime piracy. But since then, I worked for a long time in piracy, but also other crimes. I was a piracy analyst at the previous company I worked for, but all other kinds of research in illicit economic activities as well.
Oh, interesting. And so when so your background is in research, did you ever think you'd be researching pirates for a living?
Yeah, I think I tend to link to things that's a little bit with things that's a bit unique.
Okay.
I don't think it's strange for me.
And I think everybody I talk to on the show is a little bit where you're like, I didn't think I'd be dealing with pirates on a daily basis like this. It seems odd. Even I didn't. So it's strange for me too. So the websites that people can go look at a lot of this information on, stableseas.org is where the index is, which I was looking over it again this morning. There's really interesting information in there. And then the larger group is at oneearthfuture.org to see what the whole organization is doing. Are there any other good places online for people to keep up with what you guys are doing?
The organization specifically?
Yeah.
Or do you mean in general?
The organization specifically, but if you have other resources, that's always valuable.
They can follow us also on Twitter at Stable Seas. Yeah, the Twitter feed is very interesting often.
Okay.
And then they can keep abreast of new papers we publish, and there's an interesting blog also on Stable Seas. Yes, so these mostly the places where you can find us.
Great. Fantastic. Well, I'll put those in the show notes so that people can go check out all that stuff. You guys are doing good work over there, and I appreciate you spending your evening with us.
No, it was really, really enjoyable.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
I think the organization does terrific work, and I really would like people to have a look at what we're doing. And yes, I hope we'll get involved in, wider research in all these areas.
That brings up one more question. What is it that you think people don't know about international piracy that doesn't come up, or that you wish people would know about it?
I think that it's often, or it's very few cases, what's the real thing I want to say, it can sometimes be very brutal. People sometimes have a romantic view of piracy, and it's not like that at all.
Right.
We saw 6 beheadings in the last 5 years by Abu Sayyaf group, where kidnap victims, if ransoms are not paid, or they become weak or any other reason, their life is ended in a very brutal way. And this instant Twitter feeds for the world to see.
Yeah.
And it's often people that went with a yacht there to have a nice holiday.
Uh-huh.
And it does so much damage to the whole area's economy, for instance,
Sure.
I think. Because, after this, people won't go there. There we get again to the blue economy that's not working for the community like it could. And even Somalia there as well. I mean, if the hostages, the families didn't pay up, these people will be treated badly by the people that keep them.
Sure.
And in areas, fishermen, I would like to actually know what happened to fishermen involved in attacks around the world. In South America and Bangladesh, often fishermen that's attacked are treated very brutal.
Uh-huh.
They're killed, thrown overboard to drown, often in these areas. And I think fishermen, there should be more attention also to what happened to them, because often people are interested in, commercial vessels like tankers, what happened to them.
Uh-huh.
But I think there should be more emphasis on what happened to fishermen and fishing vessels as well.
I'm trying to think of what the point is are they just kidnapping fishing vessels for ransom then? Because there's certainly, unless they want a whole bunch of fish, there's not much on the ship that they're actually going to want.
Yeah, in Bangladesh, for instance, they will take the fish catch, hunt and net, and people are already very poor in the Bay of Bengal.
Uh-huh.
But they keep them for hostages, and the families don't have much.
Right.
And then they need to sell whatever they have to set these people free. There has been several arrests by authorities in Bangladesh, I must say. And they try to reintegrate some of these gangs there involved in this kind of activity.
Hmm.
But yes, and Nigeria's side as well. I think the problem there is much worse than the world actually thinks.
Really, not just strange Nigerian princes sending me emails on a regular basis.
No. I think it's just not recorded always, attacks on fishing vessels.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And I would think, I don't know, going after a fishing vessel seems weird to me because it's not. I mean, I guess depending on your point of view, it wouldn't strike me that they're going to have a whole lot of money behind them to pay for a giant ransom like a cargo ship or a tanker or something like that.
It's in the Philippines and Malaysia, for instance, of Sabah, the majority of vessels taken are fishing vessels.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. Well, that must be a point of view thing because that's interesting.
Yeah.
So how do you mentally reconcile that then with the Hollywood version of pirates, or even the way that we look at, the 1700s pirates and things like that, that with, as swashbuckling figures and all that kind of stuff? Is there any connection in your brain between those two things, or are they completely just separate concepts?
I think piracy always has been the same. I think the Hollywood version is what makes it seem different.
Uh-huh.
If you look, for instance, in Southeast Asia, the same kind of piracy you found there for really a few hundred years, and it seems to me very similar. I mean, I don't think the romantic vision is anything close to the truth or has ever been.
Sure.
I don't know. Do you think different?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Are you able to, as somebody who's so deep into this subject, are you able to say just watch a Pirates of the Caribbean film and enjoy it for what it is, or are you always kind of thinking in the back of your head, that's not how it goes?
Yeah, I think I see it different if I watch a movie, for instance.
Yeah.
And sometimes there might be a few historical facts in any case you recognize. So yes, you have to look at it. For me, it's almost easier to see a historical movie, but if I see anything new about pirates, I try to see that. I think that's not really how it is. Historical, I them to see it for what it is.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Well, Lydelle, this has been fantastic. I'm really glad we got a chance to do this, even though we had to deal with technical difficulties along the way. That's okay. Do you have anything else I forgot to ask you that you want everybody to know about?
Not that I can think of now, but I probably will think about City afterwards.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
It was lovely meeting you.
You too. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
And there it is, friends. That is my interview with Lydelle Joubert from StableSeas.org. If you want to find out more about what they're up to and check out their piracy index and all, there's a lot of really just interesting, you can go down a rabbit hole on this site. All right. It is StableSeas.org. Very easy. If you want to find out what the larger organization is doing, you can go to oneearthfuture.org, and they've got a whole bunch of programs under one umbrella that are doing things to make the world a better place. So that's all very good of them. They're very genuine, nice people over there doing good things. In the show notes at episode underthecrossbones.com/173, I will put a map of the Gulf of Guinea so you can see where that is. This is the curve of Africa, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, those types of places down there. Places where I've studied some of the music from a little bit. I've learned how to do a little bit of Ghanaian African drumming back in college and things like that. Incredibly difficult, hard music to play and fascinating to listen to. And I hope they can clean up their act because I'd like to go hear some of it in person, but not if I'm going to be kidnapped from pirates. So that map of the Gulf of Guinea will be there in the show notes, underthecrossbones.com/173. Did you hear something you wanted to jump in on, ask a question, make a comment, insert your 2 cents? We welcome that. It's hard to do during the show, but you can come over to facebook.com/underthecrossbones and leave us a comment there, or twitter.com/undercrossbones, or heck, just send me an email and let me know, phil@underthecrossbones.com. And I'm happy to talk with you about all that kind of stuff. Sponsored today by Pirate Radio of the Treasure Coast, WKKC-DB, playing the best music of today's hits and yesterday's classics, and Pirate Radio Talk, playing the best pirate radio shows, including Under the Crossbones, 24/7, all commercial free. To listen, just go to pirateradioofthetreasurecoast.com or pick up the Pirate Radio WKKC-DB app from your favorite app store. For the talk station, go to pirateradiotc.com or pick up the Pirate Radio Talk app in your app store, or just yell at your Alexa or Google device and tell it to play it for you, and it will do it. It's amazing. You can just yell at a little box and it'll play it'll play Pirate Talk for you. You just go, give me Pirate Talk, and it will give you Pirate Talk. It's amazing. The future is here. All brought to you by iTreasure Radio, the very best digital media from independently owned stations at iTreasureRadio.com. I have an ebook for you. It's Alexander Exquemelin's Pirates of Panama or Buccaneers of America, originally published in 1678. Alexander Exquemelin was a doctor who found himself on a pirate ship and wrote about his firsthand adventures and experiences on said pirate ships. And it's a very interesting book. If you've not read it and you're a pirate fan, you definitely need to read Pirates of Panama. And I've got a free ebook version for you. Just go to underthecrossbones.com, click on the free ebook, little link there up in the menu, and you can get it right there. Do not do the texting thing that I have mentioned in 172 previous episodes, because the company that I was using to do the texting thing, they changed plans and did things and messed it all up. And now I got to find another company to do that with. So for right now, don't do the texting thing. But you can go to underthecrossbones.com, click on the free ebook link, and you can get it right there. And it's very, very easy. And that is our show for today. Thank you again for tuning in. I always appreciate it. If you like this episode, go share it with a friend. Go tell them what you liked. Go, hey, there's a cool thing that you don't know about yet, and you should know about it. If you want to find out more about what Lydelle Joubert and Stable Seas are doing, go to StableSeas.org. And you can go to OneEarthFuture.org to find out what the larger umbrella group is doing to make things better in the world. I'll bet there's something there that will make you also feel like I do, where you go, boy, I'm not doing enough. So, yeah, go feel like you're not doing enough, because it makes us all do things better. Lots of great shows coming up. Next week, we got Dave Everett from Red Rum. Yeah, UK pirate metal coming on the show. So if you were digging the Stormfront stuff and all that kind of stuff. Oh, by the way, Pat Razgett is coming up. We're going to complete our Swedish pirate band trilogy with Pat Razgett coming up in a couple of weeks. We also have Ray Arnold from Pirate Guitar Effects coming up. That's a cool one. Moonsun Kim, who is the author of the webcomic about pirates called Whispers in the Wind. She's coming up. Lots of great stuff. There is an episode link on the website that you can check if you want to see what's coming up or go through any of the old episodes. All 173 of them now. They're all linked right there, and you can check that out. All right? So, again, show notes, underthecrossbones.com/173. If you want to find out where I'm going to be on the road near you, just go to philjohnsоncomedy.com. There's tour dates, there's recordings, there's videos, there's all that kind of stuff. You can see me sing songs and tell jokes, and it'll happen. All right? I'll see you next week.